All right, what's up, my brothers? In this video, we're gonna have a little conversation about women, accountability, and their preference for high-value men. Before I get into my ideas around this, I wanna play this quick little video from this gal who's complaining about the difficulties that she's experiencing when dating what's called a high-value man.
Girls think that they want to date a high-value man until he starts calling you out for not taking responsibility, before he starts holding you accountable, before he has higher standards for you than you have for yourself. We're talking about, oh, date a high-value man. This is what you do to have to attract a high-value man. But I've never heard anyone talk about like actually dating a high-value man takes a totally different kind of woman. It's not for the weak. I have other friends who are dating like very loving, very successful, perfectionist, ambitious men, and it is not for the weak.
Alrighty then. High value man, eh? Well, you know, you see this phrase tossed around a lot out there on the internet, especially on podcasts. You'll see usually a panel podcast. I do a show called Ladies Night where gals can call in from all around the world, but you see these ones where they sit down at a table, often with a bunch of gals and a few hosts, and they talk about dating, some of their problems within it, and how they solve them, and the conversations back and forth are always interesting. But the topic of high value man always comes up now. It's like a catchphrase, HVM. It's been turned into an acronym. Women all want to be with a top shelf man. They want to be with a guy that other women want to be with and other men want to be. This is essentially what a high value man is. And they run into problems when they do it because they think that they can get away with the shit that they do with other guys when, you know, that they date, i.e. keeping male friends around, i.e. you know, we're going to Vegas this weekend with the girls, so I'll be back in 4 days. High value men have boundaries. They have preferences. They're able to set these boundaries and have preferences because of the way that they have structured their life. Let's define how they've generally structured their life. They're generally wealthy, they're good looking, they're competent, they have a good social network, they're influential, they're able to solve problems, they oftentimes make well into 6 figures, sometimes even 7 figures. They have a net worth of 7 figures, sometimes into 8 or 9 figures. They are spoiled for choice when it comes to women, generally speaking. The vast majority of women out there are competing for the attention of the top shelf men. That's all hypergamy is. It's dating across and up on the socioeconomic scale, but women prefer to date up. So what ends up happening? They find a high value guy. The high value guy then starts dating this woman. He's probably got options. At some point, this woman is going to come to him and be like, hey, where do we stand? I dig your vibe. Where is this going? Are you seeing anybody else? Can we be exclusive? I want to have a family, blah, 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 blah. Whatever the narrative happens to be. Okay, that's generally when the high value man will look at her and be like, okay, that's interesting. I like you too. And if he chooses to be in a committed relationship with her, he generally then at that time has a conversation about anything that might be potentially problematic or even looking like a deal breaker for him. For example, he's probably dating a bunch of other women right now. She's coming to him and going, hey, I want to be exclusive. I want your undivided attention. He may or may not choose to give that to her. Let's just say that he decides to choose her as she's already chosen him. He's probably at that point going to be like, look, dig your vibe too, but I've noticed on social media, you post a lot of provocative, sexy photographs to the public. I don't really take women seriously that do that. Okay, no problem. I'll stop that. Or I'll delete my Instagram. Or I'll make it private. Or I'll stop posting. Okay, good. Then he might say something like, well, one of the other things that I have a boundary around is I don't let a gal that I've taken seriously, that I've invited into my life, go away for weekends with their girlfriends. No more Vegas trips, no more Cancun, no more Ibiza, no more travel Europe for 2 months in the summer. If you want to claim me, then you're mine, and I need to know that you're going to be exclusive to me. So this is a boundary that I can't have you cross. You understand? Okay, no problem. High value man, no problem. You know, we're good. I also notice you have guy friends. You know, you can't be hanging around dudes if, you know, I'm going to take you seriously. Why do you keep these men from your past around, these ex-boyfriends, these, you know, friends? He's just a friend. Because high-value men know that nobody bangs more girlfriends and wives than he's just a friend. So he'll set that boundary. So as you start stacking, you know, a lot of these boundaries up that these high-value men will set when dealing with a attractive woman over the long-term basis, that's when you get these notions of like, oh, it's not for the weak. I don't know if you gals can take it, but, you know, dealing with a high-value man is going to mean that he's going to hold you to higher standards than you hold yourself. Yeah, what did you think was going to happen? Did you, like, he set all these standards in his life. He doesn't have a bus pass. He doesn't drive a cheap shit 20-year-old car that's a rust bucket. He probably has multiple new cars. He probably travels a lot. He probably has multiple streams of income. He probably has a social network that's influential and potentially maybe even intimidating to some women because of some of the things that he does and some of the events that he goes to. These gals that want a high-value man need to understand that he's going to have some standards and boundaries that she can't cross. So we're talking about accountability. Women and accountability. It's like oil and water. They just don't go together. There's a funny ass scene from a movie. I think it's called As Good As It Gets. It's with Jack Nicholson. And the female character runs up to him at the elevator and she says, "How do you write women so well?" Or something to that effect. And he says, "I take a man and then I remove reason and accountability." And that's how he does it essentially. So it's funny because it's true. Everything, with comedy always has some truth to it. That's why we laugh at stand-up comics so loudly and fall out of our seats in tears, even though it might come at the expense of somebody at the joke, but it's true. Women and accountability don't align. I've tried holding women accountable in the past. I'm going to tell you a quick story. Years ago, I was dating this professional, very successful in her career, thought she was rational, thought she would understand, logic and reason. And I've said this before, women don't like letting logic and reason get in the way of their emotional hissy fits when it comes to arguments or disagreements. So it is a reality of what you're dealing with. And, I mean, she's at my office and I'm on the whiteboard in the boardroom and I'm breaking down exactly what she's doing wrong and why she needs to be held accountable to it. And it just doesn't work. I spent way too much time in my past trying to hold women accountable. You see these gals on these podcasts and the hosts try to hold them accountable. I've had women on my podcast on ladies' night where they'll say something completely outrageous or out of line and you explain it to them step by step and there's no accountability. Holding women accountable to standards is very, very difficult. This is one of the problems that a lot of high-value men run into is they think, look, I've done all these things in my life. I've done them because I'm a weapon. I want to put a dent in the universe. I work hard. I take ownership. If something doesn't work, I look in the mirror and I hold that mofo accountable to the standards that I've set. And they want to try to use the same thing when it comes to women. And I think like this gal said, there's a lot of truth to it. She's got to have a lot of gumption to deal with a guy that is a high-value man. So there's that notion. It's very, very difficult. Don't think for a second that as you climb, the socioeconomic ladder as a guy, things become automatic. One of the great misquotes that people take from the statements that I make is they're like, "Oh, so Rich says that if I just do all the work, the women will just line up at the front door of my house and I'll have to install a revolving door because there'll be so many bitches that want me." And It's like, no, dude, that's not how it works. You're still going to have to separate the wheat from the chaff. The difference is there's going to be a lot for you to separate. You're going to have to be doing a lot of work to separate the good from the bad. You're just going to have more to choose from. And again, once you've had that conversation, that dialogue, the where do we stand conversation, that's when you can take a look at your options and entertain what it is that you want. Whether you want to pick a girlfriend, mother stock for kids if that's what you want, if you want to continue to date multiple women simultaneously in a non-monogamous fashion sort of thing while they're exclusive to you. There's any number of things that you can and can't do when it comes to dating. But the key thing is you've got the options to do them once you become a high-value man. And you have to get good at vetting good from bad. You have to get good at deciphering the actors from the actual high-quality women. You have to test them over time, is what it boils down to. I laughed my ass off when I saw this video because I knew exactly what was going on in her head. She's like, "Oh, I want to lock down a high-value guy," and it's like all of a sudden she's got him, and now he's got all these standards, and she doesn't like them. She doesn't like the she can't keep male friends around. She doesn't like the she can't go away for the weekend with her girlfriends anymore. She doesn't like those things because they're what high-value men will set as far as standards in the relationship when dealing with a woman. They don't put up with nonsense because they don't need to. The only guys that put up with nonsense and horrible women are the kind of guys that don't have options. And these women don't really like these guys over the long term anyway. They find them extremely unattractive and disgusting over time. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I thought that video clip was highly entertaining and hilarious. Pinned in the top comment, a bunch of useful links, my book, check out my website and all that good stuff. We'll see you guys later. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fake